And he said, "No, I'm not interested in selling my business. And if you call me again, I'm going to find you, take my Hummer and run it through your office building." That he was so angry about it.
Did you have to change your phone number? Welcome back to another episode of IAG's War Room. In the trenches, M&A stories where M&A experts talk about how they fought real-world battles, how they ultimately won and closed the deal, or as we like to say, won the war. Our guest today is Jason Hullender, CEO of IAG. Today's segment is called The Hummer, where a high schooler meets a bully who almost ran him over with a real Hummer. And it's a good one. So let's go to war. Hi, Jason. Welcome.
Thanks, Joe.
So tell us a little bit about how you got into the M&A world.
My father actually was in the M&A business back in the late East. As I was growing up, I saw my father working. He was a national recruiter for an M&A firm. He did their recruiting and training. I would go in and visit the office. I thought it was interesting, the whole concept of putting buyers and sellers together. So my first job actually when I was in high school was to come into the office during the evening, and I would call business owners who had sent in mailers. We would call these business owners and then have them talk to one of our agents at the time.
So you start in high school, and how did you weave your way to the top?
Over the years, we were successful at finding clients. We were successful at building the business. Right before the crash in 2008, we had the opportunity. The company we worked for was going to sell off a division of the company, which was the for sale by owner division. So there was that part of it. And then we decided, since my father was their top person, he got the opportunity to acquire those assets back in '08 and in '09. And then after that, we started a whole new company called IAG M&A Advisors.
You were working for your father. How did
We worked together perfectly well. I was IAG's first deal maker. I was closing businesses, working with our brokers, and then he was more on the recruiting and training side and building the company. I really enjoyed the time I spent working with my father.
and then how did you transition to the role that you have now?
Well, over the years, the business has just grown. We brought in more people, expanded our services, and I took over the role as CEO. Just naturally, he took a little step back, and I stepped up and did what we needed to advance the company.
And you may recall that your father recruited me to come into the business.
A master recruiter, Joe. He was good at talking to people.
Okay, so here you are at the top of the food chain at IAG, and I know that it's been a good ride for you. You have an interesting story today that we've titled The Hummer. Why don't you set it up for us?
Going back to my first job in mergers and acquisitions, I called up a gentleman. He was a little gruff at the time, asked him if he was thinking of selling his business, and he said, "No, I'm not interested in selling my business. And if you call me again, I'm going to find you, take my Hummer and run it through your office building." Of course, at the time, I was shocked that he would say such a thing. So that took me up a little bit. It was definitely alarming that he was so angry about it.
Did you have to change your phone number?
No, I didn't change the number. I was like, "Well, I apologize and hope you have a good day." Just kept moving along, and I took it as he was just having a bad day.
So business owners are not necessarily ready to have that kind of conversation, but we know that they're bombarded with solicitations.
Yeah, that's the way I took it. They probably get people bombarding them. And back then, email really wasn't a thing, so it was more phone calls.
So you rethought how you were going about contacting owners and to their position. So then what did you do?
Every time I made a phone call, I had to put myself in their shoes and try to understand from their position if somebody were to call me like that. So that really helped me understand the mindset of a busy business owner. And as we move forward, we found that marketing clients different ways was going to be advantageous to us, not just calling.
That was actually an opportunity to rethink how we get ourselves in contact with prospects. Obviously, We would love our clients to call us up first because they've identified the need and they know we're the ones to help them.
Yeah, and when we do a good job, a lot of times we get referrals, and referrals, in our business is the best kind of complement to the service that we've done for our client.
So you had a grumpy guy threaten to, you had a grumpy guy threaten to run over you with a Hummer.
Yeah, take his Hummer and run it right through my office building, and I was talking about it for the rest of the day that this guy said he was going to take his Hummer and run it through the building.
And it was probably recorded, but we didn't need to use it, thankfully. When you hear stress in somebody's voice or a reluctance to proceed, you know that there's something else behind it. And perhaps we can use that as an opportunity to explore what the real objections are.
Just coming up with other solutions to help them see other options is what I enjoy doing. Working with our team, because of my experience doing this so long, I've seen different scenarios that work, especially in heated battles between buyers and sellers when everybody's emotional in the deal. Coming up with solutions to overcome whatever the problem is a good example of that.
Great. That's a really interesting story that launched you into the career that you have today. And we really appreciate your role. So thanks very much for sharing that. And we'll see you next time.
All right, thanks, Joe.